Namaskar. Very welcome to you all. If you are watching this video, we are starting to understand the Ved with the Mool text here. We will try to break up the mantras in a small padas so that it will be easy for us to understand the Mool text and its meaning. We are not focusing on the different various interpretation, but we will be focusing on the uses of those mantras in nowadays time, that how they can help us to be better, to make a better human society, to make a better world, because this is the core purpose of the Vedic mantras or the Vedas. That is the ultimate source of knowledge. The thing is here, when we started learning and reading Vedas, is the very common challenge that we are facing is that we are not familiar with the Sanskrit text. So, if we are not familiar with the Sanskrit text, it is really hard for us to understand how to read it and how to break it into padas, because that is another difficult thing. We need to make it into sandhi, the proper sandhi. Here, one interesting fact is that not all of the mantras, not all of the especially Vedic text, is not very much bother about grammar. So the Vedic grammar is entirely different from the Laukic Sanskrit grammar that I have already mentioned in various few lessons uh, about when we were working on the Sanskrit and all. So here the focus is not the grammar, but related grammar, of course, we have to go through and we have to explore it. So as I said, the core purpose will be to understand the Mool text, related information, and whatever human values, whatever guidance we are finding there. So for that, this whole approach that we are going to go there will be logical, scientific, and basis on facts. So they say that Vedas are years back, crores years back, or whatever timeline the modern science and people speak about it. So we are not going to talk about that. But whatever they say, it is something that is not related to, not some text that is relevant for this generation, for this world. So the problems that we are facing nowadays, let's say the AI generation is here. We have our advanced technology. We have so many, that people are going to different planets, and we are a well developed human generation. This generation, especially in the 2025. But then there are so many other things that, and the groups, they say that whatever you want to know is already there in the Vedas. I'm not going to argue there with anyone. We are very neutral here. We are just trying to understand that, okay, this is a book that claims that it has all the guidance for human being, how to be a better human being, how to make a better human society, and the world as a better place for us, so that we can live and we don't hurt anyone, but we live our life peacefully and let them live peacefully their life. So, all in all, it's just a better place. When we are starting Vedas, we need to know a few information in order to understand. So, while you are going through it, because this particular one, this series, we are focusing for Agni Suktam. This is Rigved, which is very first Ved, and the very first sukta, or let's say very first chapter, and there are 9 mantras there. So this series will be focusing on those 9 mantras only. We are not going to discuss about any other part of Ved here. We are not going to understand any other mantras on the Ved. So this particular series is focused on the Agni Sukta. So we can say we are here to understand Agni Sukta. Now, before we understand Agni Sukta, there are so many details, information you have to keep in your hand. First thing, that Ved is the total number of uh, mantras in Ved are 20,000 approx. Rigved itself is the huge among all rest of all three. If you are not entirely beginner, then you know that there are four Vedas: Rigved, Yajurved, Samved, and Atharvaved. Rigved is biggest among all. it has lots of and lots of mantras. Those mantras are they are not there on a subject basis. That okay, now let's talk about science, let's talk about money, let's talk about life, let's talk about uh, society issues, let's talk about the dandavidhan or the punishments and the policies and all. This is not how they have organized the mantras. But the mantras order is different from what we see the other book, like if we see the Ramayana or the Upanishads and all, they follow a certain topic, and whatever they are discussing about, that is under that topic. Bhagavad Gita is one of the very famous granth where the conversation is happening between Arjun and Bhagwan Krishna, and Bhagwan Krishna is trying to solve the dilemma of Arjun or the confusion of Arjun, and eventually he will learn the yoga. So that is again following a particular path, particular topic. But when you talk about Ved, they do not go like this. The order is entirely different. So why the order is like that? Why not as a subject wise? That's another topic of discussion that we will discuss in some other class, but not today. So Ved are four: Rigved, Yajurved, Samved, and Atharvaved. The Rigved itself is starting with the Agni Suktam. Agni is normally people say Agni is something that is fire, Ag, right? So the people who familiar with Hindi, for them this is Ag. The people who are familiar with English, they call it fire. That's what we understand nowadays. That's the Agni. That's how the Agni is relevant to us. But if you go to the Vedic scriptures or the Vedic concept or the Vedic wisdom, there you will see that Agni is a tattva, is an element. How it's important and why it is relevant to us? Because Agni is one of the tattva that is inside our body. We have five elements, and those five elements includes Agni as well, or fire as well, right? Now, Ved understand is in a different way, different perspective. So let's just try to understand what Agni Sukta means. What is Agni stands here? So the Agni is actually not related to fire, because when Vedic text came, this is all mentioned in the Vedic scriptures. That when Vedic text came, it doesn't came like after 10 years when the human generation has been created. It just came right at the moment when the first man came into existence. Okay, so that first man is called the Purush in Vedic scriptures, and that's how the entire universe, the entire human being, and the other species, the other people you are looking at. That's how it all eventually developed. But the first man who came, he came with the Vedic knowledge. All the Ved was there inside him. But when the human generation born, a common human being like us, they came into place, they were not able to born with the Vedic text. So for them, it was required, it was necessary that there should be someone who should teach it. But the Vedic knowledge was no one knows about, no one knows Ved. So there was this person, and then Ved came again in the yoga, in the Dhyanavastha. So this is why we call them, whoever saw the mantra, we call them Rishi, the seers, the person who can see the mantras. And then there are a group of people who were sakshi, or we say witness. So they approved, they just supported that, okay, this is the mantra, this is how we have heard it, or this is how we saw it. So this is that secure, actually, that what I want to discuss here is, this is not some random text. The way it came was different. It was something that we haven't created. This is not something that some human being no advanced species, they were set in one day and they set the rule, and to give the guidance they wrote down the Vedic mantras. That's not the case here. According to Vedic scripture, Ved is apurusha. So you cannot, a purush, like a person, cannot think like that. So those mantras, they came in the person's mind, and they have seen it in the Dhanavastha, and that's how the Vedic mantras came. In the beginning, they were not in the written form, but people, the rishis or the seers, they used to preach them. Later on, they scripted it. So earlier it was all by hearted. They have kanthastha. We say it kanthastha. So nowadays, even you will see that people can recite the entire Ved. So they are, we call it Patha, Ved Path, right? That there they are reciting the mantras like Om Bhurgubhah Swaha Tat Saviturvarenyam, and the text should be the accurate and everything should be the accurate. Later on, we also scripted it so that we can pass it to generation. And to understand Ved, we also come up with eventually the Brahmana Grantha, then Aranya Grantha, and Upanishad, and so many others. So let's again discuss the original, the topic that we were talking about, the Agni Sukta. Now, Agni, as I mentioned, is a tattva, is an element. So when Ved came, as we were talking about, that was not that after this generation happened and there was something, some Agni Devta, and then this has happened. That is also one of the interpretation that you can have it. But when Agni Devta was not there, Ved mantra was still there. You will find the traces in Brahmana Grantha or Sahita Grantha or Shakha Grantha. They talk about the same. So how it is possible that if there is no Agni Devta, still there was Agni word, and what this word stand for here. So to understand this, we need to understand the word. Here, I will give you a little information about Sanskrit grammar. So in Sanskrit language, there is every word, each word that we see is having an origin. We call it root, that is called dhatu. So any word that we are looking at is a form of, it contains a old dhatu or an upsarg and a pratyay, and that's how we form a word. Or in Sanskrit, we call it pada. So the padas are, they collected, we do the sandhi process, and then we come up with the mantras, or we do it reverse. It was all there. Then we come up with the padvichedas, and then we go with the translation. So Agni pad itself is having one dhatu, that is ni. So ni means nayati, to send it, to take it further, something or someone. So there is a ni dhatu. Ni becomes nay because of the vikar, that is grammar process. And there is an. So an plus ni will become agni. Now, what is an stand here? An means the light, the prakash. So and ni to the an prakash, and ni to take it further. So something or someone who is taking us towards the light, towards the prakash, that person or that object will be called Agni. This was the meaning of that this word or this pad. When you, if you want to know more detail about this pad itself, you can explore the Vedangas, because Vedang are there to help us to understand the meaning of the each word. There, Vedang, again I will tell you, Siksha, Kalpa, Vyakaran, Nirukta, Chand, and Jyotish. These all six Vedang are going to help you to understand what I am talking about here. How I come with this conclusion that, okay, Agni is that. And that is all mentioned there. So this is not something that I figured it out. This is something that I have studied, and I am just referring it here for your understanding, for a common being, that Agni means not an Agni Devta. Agni means not a person whose name is Agni, but Agni means bhautik Moolapad, Mool meaning, where Agni is standing for any object, any person, or anything that takes us towards light or prakash. Now, prakash and andhakar are two objects, like the light and the darkness are two objects that have been always discussed in a many perspective here, because this is the knowledge. Ved. Ved word is about knowledge, something that you must know. So that is called a Ved. Again, Ved word itself is made from Ved dhatu. That is called to something that is important, that is essential for us to know. That is called a Ved. Now, Rig Ved is something that is Rig, which is their eternal truth, is called Rig Ved. That is also going with the Richas, because mantras are also called Richas. So here we understood many words. How we understand? To understand what kind of dhatu is actually working over there. So again, if we talk about Agni Sukta, Agni is something, anything that is taking us towards light. So ignorant here is darkness, and knowledge here is the light. So in this sense, Agni could be a guru, a person who is teaching us or who is helping us to sort out our issue, taking us towards life, giving us solution, anything. Okay. Now, Agni mantra, this Agni Mide, this mantra that we are going to understand, or all the rest of the nine mantras are actually talking about this Agni Tattva. This was the preface, because if you want to understand Ved, you need to know a little bit detail about everything. We won't be able to go through each and every pad there, because for that detailed video will be required. Here I am trying to cover one mantra for each video. So, but this one was a little bit information that I wanted to share with you, so that you can understand, and it will be easy for you to go further. So when I will be saying Agni word later, you will understand this is not Agni Devta or some Agni name person, or Agni as a fire that I am talking about here. Again, I'm not saying that that is not possible, that that meaning is not possible. It is possible, but that is different interpretation. And as we mentioned earlier, that we are not going with the interpretations. We are trying to focus on the mantra itself, the mood text itself, and trying to find out the values there for a common human being. Now, let's just check Rigved here, how it starts and how the distribution of mantras are there in Rigved. So when I'm saying that there are nine mantras in Agni Sukta, Agni Sukta is the one of the division that we have. And then there are so many. It's a part of the big distribution that we see in the Rigved. So Rigved itself is we if we uh, understand it in a piece into piece, no. So there are like chapters. So there are a different two type of paramparas that we follow, the tradition that we follow. One is the Mandal parampara. Mandal is a name. Then second is the Ashtak parampara. So the Mandal parampara follows by Mandal. That is how the first division is. That are 10 Mandal. Total 10 Mandal we will see in Rigved. Then there will be under Mandal, there will be one Sukta. Then like here, first mandal, first sukta, and then there are mantras. So this three very simple. Right? While Ashtakram is follows differently. Like Ashtak, there are eight, which is why this is why we call it Ashtak, and then Adhyay, then Varga, and then mantras. So this is different. Among 10 mandal or 8 Ashtak, Agni Sukta stands the first one. So this is something that has an influence in the rest of the mantras as well. Now, first mantra is very, very simple. I'm now going to share my screen, and if you have Rigved with you, please just open that text, Sanskrit text, and let's try to understand it. Okay, so okay, so hopefully you all can see my screen. there in the Rigved Sahitayam, Prathamam Mandalam, as I have mentioned earlier, we are into Rigved and first mandal. Later on, that will be first sutra. The information that has been given here is something that you are going to find with all the mantras. So each mantra contains its own rishi, that who was the seer, who was the rishi. In this case here, the rishi was Madhuchanda. His name was Madhuchanda Vaishwamitra. Devta is Agni. Chand, as I mentioned, one of the Vedas is Gayatri, and Swar is Sharja. So, if you know about Devta word, no, Devta generally we understand as Dev, like some kind of divine being, celestial being. But here, Devta means the topic, the mool topic of the something, some mantra. How I take it? For that, you just check Nirukta and Nighantu. The word Devta is having the following Devadhatu. And Devadhatu has 7 different meaning. One of that is something that is topic. So the mool, this is not the Devta, like the celestial being. When I am saying Devta here, this is related to the this particular mantra or particular topic that it is talking about. So here the main topic is Agni, which is called the Pramukh Vishay in Hindi. So we call it Agni. Agni is something or someone that is helping us to going towards the light. Now, Chand is Gayatri. There are different Chand. Chand also something that is one way to do the Gan, the meter, Vedic meter, and then this in this case, this mantra is following Gayatri Chand, which is one of the main Vedic chandas. There are 7 main Vedic chandas. Gayatri is one of them. There are 7 swara, and here this is following Sharja swara. So moving further, we will see this text. Let's just understand this one. This mantra is saying Agni Mide Purohitam Yagyasya Devam Ritvijam Hotaram Ratnadhatamam. I am not following part here. I am just reading it in a slow pace so that you can understand what text we are reading. Part will be later thing. Okay. Part is not the focus here. The focus is to understand the text. So again, I am reading it. If you want, you can read it with me. Agnimide purohitam yagyasya devam ritvijam hotaram ratnadhatamam. अब यहाँ Agni is this first pad. Let's understand this first pad. It is Agnim Ide. How we are breaking it? Agnim Ide. Next is easy, which is Purohitam Yagyasya Devam. This pad will be break as Devam Ritvijam Hotaram Ratnadhatamam. Now here, Agnimide, the word Agnim and the word Ide are 2 separate one, where Agni is the noun and Ide is the verb, the Kriya. I am just trying to make it very simple for us to understand so that we just get an idea of what we are talking about here. So if we say Agni, Agnim, now you see the pattern in Sanskrit is Agnim, Purohitam, Yagyasya Devam, Ritvijam, Hotaram, Ratnadhatamam, and Ide. So we put it as an pad anvay. How we say this? Agnim, Purohitam, Yagyasya Devam, Ritvijam, Hotaram, Ratnadhatamam. Here, Ide is our Kriyapad. So Ide will be in the end. Let's do it again. Agnim, Purohitam, Yagyasya Devam, Ritvijam, Hotaram, Ratnadhatamam, Ide. We translate this one. Agnim is the Agni Tattva. Now, Agni Tattva, it is we are talking about that tattva, right? And ide stands for I do, first person. So I eid. Eid is what? I do the praise. I do the adoring. I worship. So I praise Agni. I adore Agni. I worship Agni. Why? Right? The first question. Why you praise Agni? Why you adore Agni? Because it is Purohitam. It is Yagyasya Devam, Ritvijam, Hotaram, and Ratna Dhatamam. So, as we understand, Agni, who has these qualities? First, that should be Agni, right? That is why we are going to do the praise or adore. Second, Purohit. Third, Yagyasya Devam. Fourth, Ritvijam. Fifth, Hotaram. And sixth, Ratnadhatamam. So the Agni who fits in this all six conditions is the one who is eligible for our praise. Otherwise, this mantra is not talking about that Agni. It is talking about some Agni which is following these all six conditions, fulfilling these all six conditions. This was the saral meaning of the mantra. Another thing that you will notice here, these sign, the underlined one, the special character in the somewhere on the letter, you might see that this is a matra or something, but we call it a swara. Swara as in the pitch. Okay, so this one stands for, which is looking like underlining under the a, that is called anudatta. So anudatta stands for the lower pitch, lower the volume. And this one, which is going on the top of the letter, is called Swarit, which is the medium one. Or there are many letters that has no sign, so they all are Udatta. The basis on pitch, a basis on the ghat, there are three swar in Sanskrit Ved mantra that is called Udatta, Anudatta, Swarit. Udatta means high, Anudat means low, and Swarit will be the medium one. So when you do the part, you will keep in your mind. To understand this a better way, you will see that there are Ved parties. They always keep moving their hand so that the other person will understand. Okay, this is this has to be Udatta, Anudatta, and this has to be Swarit, because that but that was too fast that it is not easy for us to understand which one they are talking about until and unless we have studied the Swara Vigyan, that how it works there. Agnimide Purohitam Yagyasya Devam Ritvijam Hotaram Ratnadhatamam. So this mantra here, and then short, if you understand, this is just focusing on Agni Tattva, which is eligible, which I am adoring. I adore, I praise, because it is Purohit, it is Yagyasya Dev, it is Ritvij, it is Hota, and it is Ratnadhatamam. Here, uh, this rest of the word, which is Purohitam, Yagyasya Devam, Ritvijam, and the rest of all. We need to understand each of the word a detail, but because we have a little time, so I will just keep it short. So Purohitam is normally we understand someone who is leading in the yajna, that is called the Purohit, right? But Purohit, the verbal meaning of Purohit will be someone who stands in the front, a leader. So Agni, who is taking us towards light, and he is the leader. Pura is front, Hitam is stable or stay in the front. Yagyasya Devam, any kind of yagya that you are doing, he is the Dev of it. Means he is the one who you want to achieve, who you want to worship. And then there are so many different forms of yajna. But if any kind of yajna is there that you are performing, that is he is the Dev, he is the ultimate goal. Ritvijam is, there are many seasons. We have 6 seasons, we know, right? He is the one who is the winner of season, Ritu, the one who uh, won the Ritus, the season. That could be the season that is called winter, summer, and all, and that could be the season in the life as well, the highs and lows, anything you can understand. Hotaram is when you sit in the yajna and when you call for it, that is called Hota. So he is the Hota. And the last one is called a Ratna Dhatamam. Now, Ratna are the precious stone. The one who is carrying, holding the Ratna is called a Ratnadha. And when you go for superlative degree for that, best among all Ratnadha, that Agni we worship. I hope that you like this Saral translation, the efforts that we are taking towards understanding Agni Sukta. If any questions or any other detail you want to know, you can simply ask me in the comment or reach out to me in the messages. I will be happy to solve.